Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley, and today we will be reviewing the Flash Supergirl musical episode, Duet, from Season 3, Episode 17 of The Flash. The episode opens with a young Barry and his mom watching Singing in the Rain, and then we cut to Barry in current day crashing on Cisco's couch, watching the same movie, and he tells Cisco that his mom used to always say musicals or songs make everything better. And so the theme of this episode is a musical, obviously, but it's more about how we use music to express our feelings and to deal with our emotions, really. And so the episode really starts with Mon-El and John Jones bringing Kara into Star Labs. And of course, nobody knows who Mon-El is, so it's kind of an awkward exchange of Mon-El trying to say that he and Kara are dating, but then John's like, you broke up, so it's just kind of fun. It reminds me of, I believe that was season 2 of Supergirl, when Mon-El and Kara got together, so it kind of brings back memories of that season, which I haven't seen for a long time. But I do like Mon-El and Kara together as a couple, so it was kind of cute seeing Mon-El just kind of not knowing what to do, being a little awkward. But then we get the Music Meister? I've been calling him the Music Maestro, I don't know. I think it's Music Meister, though. But the Music Meister comes in, and he takes out Kid Flash and Barry pretty quickly. And then he puts Barry into a dream world, and so Barry's in a coma, much like Kara is. So I like the Music Meister, sort of. In the beginning and in the middle, I think he seems like he could be a really good villain. He seems a little fun. And I like that he kind of has all this power, and that he just he uses all of his power to just like shut down Kid Flash and Barry in kind of like a very threatening way. So I like him so far in the beginning. We'll come back to him in the end when I like him a little less. So he puts Barry into this dream musical world and he tells Barry and Kara it's because they've been watching a lot of musicals. Kara watches Wizard of Oz, Barry watches Singing in the Rain. So they've been watching so many musicals that their mind has put themselves in a musical, and Music Meister just created the dream world aspect. And so we get Kara in a nightclub singing the song Moon River, which I don't think I've ever heard before, but it's a good song, and Kara is surprisingly a good singer, which Barry comes to discover. And that's a callback, this is actually before the Crisis on Earth X, but so in Crisis on Earth X, Barry references this musical episode where he discovers Kara can sing, and then she sings a song at Barry's wedding. So this is kind of where that all came about. And just a little bit of background for this, a lot of people, fans of the CW superhero shows, were sort of wanted a musical episode because there's a lot of actors on these shows that have musical backgrounds, Broadway musical backgrounds. And for a while, a lot of people wanted Joss Whedon to do the musical episode because he did the Buffy musical episode, which is Once More with Feeling, probably the best television musical ever. And so, but he didn't come back, and so we got this musical episode, and it's really good in its own way, I guess. It is a good way to kind of get all these, sort of musical song and dance actors to really showcase their talents. We got Barry and Kara and the Music Meister, which were, I believe, on that show Glee, which I didn't see past like the first season, so I don't know their characters. And then of course we have Jeremy Jordan, who plays Win. He is a Broadway musical guy, and he actually left the show Supergirl to go pursue Broadway musicals. Victor Garber, who plays Professor Stein, he also left the show to go do Broadway musicals. And there's actually been some talk that maybe the actor that plays Cisco might also leave to do the same. Joe West, I forget the actor's name that plays Joe West, but he, of course, was in the Rent musical, and John Barrowman is a big Broadway name. So we have all these song and dance people that they just wanted to sort of put together in a musical. The problem with this is it's not the best sort of organic way to create a musical. I think there's only one original song on here, and the others they're just singing songs that sort of have to do with plot a little bit, but not really at the same time. And so it's kind of more of just like an episode with them singing music rather than a full-on musical episode. So, but it's still a pretty good episode. And then, of course, we also get a lot of references to The Wizard of Oz, which I think is pretty hilarious because I love The Wizard of Oz. I think it's one of my favorite musicals. And I love, Kara says, why don't I just click my heels 3 times? And Barry goes, oh yeah, that's a good idea. And then she's like, I was joking, or something like that. So that's a pretty fun little exchange there. And then they just keep referencing The Wizard of Oz throughout. And she says, something like, oh, there's no place like home. And then she kind of catches herself. And she's like, rolls her eyes. So there's a lot of good musical references in this episode too. And then, of course, I love Win as this 1920s bar piano player with this gangster or 1920s accent. It's really fun. And so I just love Jeremy Jordan in this role. And then he and Cisco, they break out with the Music Meister and they sing the song Put a Little Love in Your Heart. Put a little love in your heart. I'm not a singer. And it's actually really good, and you realize how really good singers they are for musicals. And so I really like that. And then of course the whole point of this is that they need to sort of follow the plot of the musical, and then they'll find their way to the end or something. And so I enjoy this sort of cheesy noir Romeo Juliet love story type thing that they're doing, which is, it's cheesy, it's cliche, it's this sort of over the top noir gangster club setting, but I like the aesthetic. I think it works. I think it's pretty fun. And of course we get Joe and Martin Stein as these sort of gangsters that are husbands at the same time. And so I really enjoy them. And then, of course, they sing a song together, and then with John Barrowman. So you see that they can all sing, and there are irises. Iris, I think her name was Millie in this dream world. So they're her dads. And so they capture Barry and Kara, and they want them to find Iris/Millie because they think that she's been kidnapped. And so they go to her apartment, or somebody's apartment, I don't know if it's hers or Monell's or whoever, and they end up breaking in the door. And so they find Monell and Iris, aka Tommy and Millie, kissing on the couch. And kind of a funny little reveal where Barry's like, what the heck is going on? And, they're like, we're in love. And then Kara's like, oh, gross. So that's kind of a funny exchange, and it's very weird seeing Monell with Iris kissing. They actually kind of make a cute couple, though. So we get that, and Barry and Kara convince them to go tell their dads that they're together, and maybe they'll have a happy ending because they're trying to follow the plot line. And so they go to tell their dads. Iris goes to tell Joe and Professor Stein, gangsters, and then they sing a song. And then they say, hey, gather the boys, we're going to go to war. And then Monell goes to his dad, John Barrowman's character, and he confesses also. And then, of course, he wants to go to war. So it's like them being together forces their parents to go to war. But, that's the plot of the story, and they need to fall in love or something like that. It's not really settled too well. But then we get in the present time, the Music Meister they find out he's stealing Barry and Kara's powers, and then we see him maybe rob a bank or something. He's in Central City streets. And so we get Wally West, Cisco, and John Jones on the streets fighting Music Maestro, which is pretty cool. And again, I like the Music Maestro sort of being the villain. We'll talk about that again at the end. But I like seeing Wally, Cisco, and John sort of working together too. And I like Wally in this episode, actually. He doesn't do a whole lot. Well, maybe I don't know. I do like Wally in general, though. But I don't remember what was going on with Wally in season 3. So that's part of my problem with this episode is I haven't watched all of season 3. I don't really remember what the characters are going through. Barry says he and Iris broke up or broke off their engagement, and I was like, I don't remember any of that. So this is a good episode. But it also does really sort of take place within the context of Season 3 of The Flash and Season 2 of Supergirl to sort of understand some of the stuff that's going on there, at least with the character relationships. So then we get Barry, saying, hey, we can fix this and we can go back to our lives. And Kara's like, yeah, we'll go back to being single. And Barry's like, well, at least we'll be single together. And Kara's like, yeah, that never helped anybody. And Barry's like, well, maybe. I just love Barry and Kara, like, just teaming up. I just find their exchanges to be a lot of fun. And they're always they're kind of like similar personalities. And to me, it works really well. So I enjoy this episode just for that. And then, of course, they get this musical number called Super Friends, which I think is a reference to like an old Super Friends cartoon or something. And so the song is it's a little cheesy, to be honest, but it's kind of fun, and they're like doing this like little tap dancing number to go along with it. And Barry, Kara says something about Barry can just travel back in time to fix things, and he stops for a second. He's like, yeah, I'm not supposed to do that no more. And so it's sort of self-referential to the shows, and it is kind of fun. It's a little sad that this is the only original song that they kind of get to sing, but it's better than nothing, and I think it's kind of the writer's way of sort of, putting an end to anybody that was shipping Barry and Kara as a couple. Like myself, I totally shipped them in World's Finest. So this is kind of their way of sort of making a firm know they're just friends, and that's all they're going to be. So they're going to be super friends. So it's a fun little musical, and then we sort of get to the climax of the plot, where the two gangster dads of Mon-El and Iris's characters come to blows outside of the club, and they start shooting out, and Barry and Kara get shot in the crossfire, and in the present time, their vitals go down because the Music Meister says that if they die in the dream world, then they're going to die in real life. So Iris and Mon-El go into the dream world to help Barry and Kara, who are lying on the ground bleeding from gunshot wounds. Iris is crying, and she tells Barry that she loves him, and she kisses him, and then Mon-El apologizes to Supergirl about lying, and then they say that I love you, and they kiss, and then they wake up, and the dream world is over, yay! And they're back in Star Labs, and then we kind of get the reveal of the Music Meister and what his whole plan was. So apparently he says, in the beginning he told them, he was going to teach them all a lesson. So apparently the lesson is love. So he says, he did all this for love, to bring the couples back together because he's from the future or something or other, and he wants to teach the good guys a lesson. And they all need to be together, which is a little undercut with Mon-El and Supergirl not ending up together in the future, or at least as far as Supergirl, the show, goes as of now. So I don't understand the Music Meister's motivation, I guess. I don't like this plot twist at the end with the Music Meister and him saying, I just did all this villainy sort of stuff for show, and I really just wanted to bring you guys together, and this is the best way I could think of to do that. I think it undercuts the episode. I think it sort of, I don't know why he wasn't just a villain, I think it would have been maybe, better if he had been just put them in the dream world so that he can go do what he wanted to do, and they just happened to come together because of it. I don't like the twist ending. Because other than that, I thought he could have been a pretty cool villain. I don't know why he's called the Music Meister in this episode, at least. I know he's based off a comic book character, but other than the fact that he does a little bit of singing, he says they're the ones that put themselves in a musical, not him. So why is he titled the Music Meister? I mean, he doesn't really do anything else. I mean, I just want to see him a little bit more musically inclined, I guess. Something to justify the name Music Meister, other than him being like, I can sing, but it was your guys' idea to put yourselves in a musical, not mine. I just think, I don't know, I don't like the ending to the Music Meister. I thought the first couple times that we saw him, it was really interesting. He could have been a cool villain, and this ending kind of just undoes all that, at least in my opinion. I think a lot of people may like the Music Meister. We haven't seen him again, so I don't know. Maybe he wasn't popular. I don't remember this episode being very well received. But then, of course, the very ending, we get Barry singing to Iris, running home to you, and then he proposes to Iris at the very end. Again. So, and of course, that's the song that Kara sings during Barry and Iris's wedding, Running Home to You. And it's actually a good little moment. Grant Gustin has a pretty good voice. And it's a little teary-eyed. I do like the song, so And of course, knowing that it gets played at their wedding is beautiful. So it's a good little ending to the episode. Again, I didn't like the ending with the Music Meister, but I do like that everybody's back together. I liked seeing, all of these different characters kind of in a different role in this music world, singing songs. It was fun seeing John Barrowman and Professor Stein and Joe singing and Jeremy Jordan and Cisco singing. So all that stuff was pretty fun. The 1920s gangster world was fun. But the problem I have with this musical is it's not, other than Barry and Iris get back together and propose, it's not really an essential episode of the season of The Flash. And same thing with the Supergirl plot. Other than that they get together, it's not really essential episode. There's nothing, with the other characters, or it doesn't further the Savitar storyline of season 3. This episode doesn't even have one of the characters that appeared in season 3. I forget the name of the character, but it's played by the actor from Harry Potter. He's not even in this episode, so it's not like an essential episode. You just need to watch like the last scene where Barry sings and proposes to Iris. So that's kind of what makes it sort of drop down as like a really great musical. Really great musical like Buffy is an absolutely essential episode of season 6 of Buffy. It furthers the storyline, all the character plots, and it kind of sets up where the show's going to go. Whereas this episode, it comes really late in the season, which I think maybe is also a part of it. But it doesn't feel super essential because, we're not dealing with the main plot. We're just bringing characters back together, which could have just been done in a normal episode. It didn't have to be a musical. And also there's only one original song. The others were just songs that were being sung by the actors. And again, the actors do a great job singing and dancing, and that's all fun to see. So I do like this episode better than I remembered. And I think the more I watch it, the more I like it. But it does sort of lack that essential need and sort of, reason for doing a musical number in the first place. But it is a fun episode, and I definitely recommend it. I love seeing Barry and Carr together. I love seeing Iris and Mon-El in the dream world, in these different roles. It's good, good. It's, the actors do a really good job with the songs they're singing. Wish they were better songs, maybe. A few of them are, kind of, there's only a couple, like, upbeat numbers. So it's a good episode, is what I'll say. Is it, do you have to watch it as part of, wanting to watch all the crossover episodes? Probably not. It's not one of the big crossovers. But I do think that it's a good episode, and I enjoy it. So that's pretty much wraps up my thoughts on this episode. Let me know if there's anybody out there that really loves this episode. Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you think it is essential and you have to see it. I don't remember this being, well praised amongst the fans. I think most of us agree that we just like seeing these characters in a different role. But let me know if anybody out there really loves this episode and they think it's amazing and they think it's great. So let me know what your thoughts are. I do like all of the references to the Wizard of Oz and sort of noir cliche plot that went on. I think probably my favorite part of the episode might be Barry and Kara kind of, I don't know if it's one favorite part, but them just kind of working together. It might be when they find Mon-El and Iris kissing in the apartment. That might be my favorite scene. But I just like them like working together and sort of being, kind of loving the musical world, but also annoyed that they're stuck in the musical world at the same time. So that's probably my favorite part of the episode. So thank you all for listening. Stay tuned for the next and probably final episode of the Arrowverse Crossover Crisis Podcast. We will be reviewing the very first appearance of Barry Allen, of course, in the Arrow two-parter episode, The Scientist. So stay tuned for that. Thank you all for listening. Let me hear your comments down below. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next crisis. Thank you you all for listening. Here are my thoughts on the current episodes of The Flash, Supergirl, and Batwoman. Follow me over on the Stardust app at Crashly87, CRASHLIE87. For those bookworms out there, check out my blog, Fantastic Literature, link in the description below, for book reviews, short story reviews, and general thoughts about the literary industry. And if you like the podcast, be sure to follow, like, and share it. Leave your thoughts in the comments below.